Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Lions Live, created by Vodafone. I'm David Flatman, and my two very, very special guests and I are childishly excited about the Vodafone Lions 1888 Cup taking place at Murrayfield tomorrow as the Lions take on Japan at Murrayfield. The first time the Lions have played at home for 16 years, by the way. It's only 4 tours, but 16 years sounds better. We've got a lovely lineup of special guests. I'm joined by Sir Ian McGeechan, Mr. Lions, the man who's more lion than man. Inside those very smart boots, there are some hairy paws with big claws. Geech, welcome. How excited are you about tomorrow?
So thanks, Flats. Good. Really, you look forward to every Lions tour. I think that you get the goosebumps on the back of your neck, you know, when you see a Lions tour and Lions team first announced, when Gats announced it this week. The memories come back, and you know how unique each one is and how special it is to the people that names get put forward.
Yeah, it's very exciting. Now we're touring. Sam Warburton is also here, former Lions captain, been there and done it in Lions terms. If it's happened, he's seen it. Are you going to bother watching tomorrow, or you got other things on?
It's weird because I was privileged to be on the last 2 tours as a player. But I was originally a fan of the Lions, which is what inspired me to play rugby. Now I've finished, I'm straight back to being a fan of the Lions again and can't wait to watch them go. So I'm so excited, genuinely so excited, just to see a new group of players mix and see if they can create new history as well, so I can't wait.
Can you watch it objectively and just analyse it play by play, or is it actually just Lions got to win?
I'm going to try, but I probably will be like, because I just want the Lions to be a success all the time. I'm so passionate about the Lions. So, yeah, I'll have my analytical head on, but deep down, yeah, my heart will be going for the Lions.
It's in there. So we'll talk all about the game tomorrow and all about the upcoming tour. Rory Sutherland from inside the camp has given us some behind-the-scenes exclusive footage. There he is. We'll hear from him in a minute. There he is, grafting. I mean, actually, that doesn't look that difficult, what he's doing. That does. He's got a funny mask on. But he's in great shape of his life. That's not him. He's moving too fast to be a prop, whoever that is. And we've got Doddie Weir coming up later on, a Lions legend. I caught up with him a couple of weeks ago, so we're going to hear from Doddie. Of course, now fought many battles on the field, now fighting a different battle, inspiring people who have been diagnosed with motor neurone disease. Wonderful man, a wonderful chat, so that's something to look forward to. But first, we are after your votes. We've got a poll. It's multiple choice. You're going to see it pop up. It's really, really simple. You can't go wrong. And the question is this. Who is the greatest ever Scottish Lion? Is it A, Jim Telfer, B, Finlay Calder, C, Gavin Hastings, or D, Tom Smith? Now, it's a little bit awkward because we all know it's Geech, right? But Geech is here. Geech is here, so we didn't want to embarrass him. Very, very easily embarrassed, easily bashful. So have a vote for that. We'll catch up, see how the votes are going later on, see who's winning and who's not winning and who might be embarrassed. And I don't know what they win. I don't know what this winner wins, what Telfer, Calder, Hastings or Tom Smith. They win nothing. They win absolutely nothing but the honour. But first of all, do get voting. But before that, let's get an exclusive look at what's happening inside Camp Lions. Rory Sutherland took a little bit of time out to give us the lowdown.
Training's been really tough so far. It's definitely the most intense stuff I've ever been involved in. There's been a couple of points in training where I feel like I've not been able to carry on, especially last week in that heat. It was 30 degrees on the Monday, Tuesday, so training's been really tough, but it's been really enjoyable as well. It's been made really enjoyable by the coaches and by the management. And by the rest of the players too. I feel like they've got a really good thing going in camp right now, so yeah, really enjoying it. This past sort of year and a half's been a big sort of transition period for me. I've obviously had Richard Cockrell and a couple of other coaches at Edinburgh, and then making the transition to Scotland to be coached by Gregor and Steve and Peter and all those guys, and now coming in here with Gats. So it's nice to have Gregor and Steve here again as well. You know, a couple of familiar faces. You kind of know where you stand with those guys. From meeting the guys in London to coming here now out in Jersey, everyone's getting used to each other. In London, the Scots arrived last, so we got off the bus and into the hotel, and we all went to our rooms and were told to come back down pretty quickly. I went down and it was a huge dinner hall and everyone was sitting in their nations, and I went and got food and turned around with my plate and I thought, where am I going to sit? I've never seen any of these guys before, so I just made a beeline for the Welsh table. ever since I've sort of gotten on with those guys, I feel like I've had a good connection with them. We've had fun on and off the field, and we've had a good chance to get to know each other with a few beers and some food. And also there's been a lot of activities and stuff on the days off. So we've been to the beach, went paddle boarding, went out in the boat for a bit, chilled together then. We've been out golfing with some different guys as well. So yeah, we've had a good chance to get to know a few guys already. It's been a tough season for everyone, with COVID, not having an atmosphere, and especially with my club being Edinburgh and playing at Murrayfield week in, week out. It's a huge stadium not to have anyone in, so the thought of having fans back is going to be really good, and what an honour, not just to pull the Lions jersey on, but to get to do it at my home nation as well. So really looking forward to it. The experience so far has been almost surreal to me. There's not a day's gone by that ceased to amaze me. So I'm sure that'll be another one of those days when I walk in the changing room.
That is a perfect beard, isn't it? He's got products on that. He's taken a lot of time over that, and he's given it the just got out of bed look, but there's a lot of work gone into that. I want to talk about building relationships and quick, but first of all, something that stuck out to me then, might have stuck out to you as well, Geach, the sort of thing I expect you would notice is that Roy Sutherland said he arrived for the first meet-up and then got his lunch, didn't know where to sit, and went to sit on the Welsh table. Now, I've now got an image of there being a Welsh table, an English table, an Irish table. That's not how it works with the Lions, is it?
No, it isn't. I mean, pretty quickly it breaks up, and Gats will do things. I mean, Gats is brilliant at creating an environment, right from the word go, and it's that environment that's so important. I think just arriving, they might have just kept in groups, but that disappears pretty quickly, and it's amazing the conversations that start to happen across players from the different countries, and that's when you feel that Lions environment starting to come out and evolve.
And it's almost like you have a round of golf, and even if you're not a golfer, you could hack your way around. Like Xander Fagerson looked like he was chewing up the course there. It's horrible technique, but he's a heavy man, on soft grounds. But I guess you're making friends for life. But in terms of building relationships, Sam, it's quite an interesting one, isn't it? Because Roy Sutherland talked about the heat, and I happened to be over in Jersey on the day he's talking about, and it was sweltering. And you watch those boys train, it was brutal. So they was all nice and smart in their polo shirts in the hotel, and you see them on a Saturday running out looking fresh and lean and fit. But geez, they're working hard. The whole point of bonding, a lot of people outside of the game and in the game think the only way to bond a team is to go to the pub. That's one way, but you can get there through working hard together, can't you?
Yeah, don't get me wrong, I was the most professional guy. I always wanted to be really professional, and I didn't drink much, but I would have drank when they had a social, and they were really important. But I completely agree. Going through really hard training sessions where you're going down deep into the pit, and it's a bad place. But then when you come out the other end and then you're having your lunch and you look around the table, everybody's put the same amount of real hard effort in, and games do the same as well. When you come back in the change room from a game, win, and sometimes a loss is better. You go through that adversity together as a group. You've all gone through it, and you know that when you look at the guy across from you in the changing room or the dinner table, they're all willing to put in the same amount of commitment as you. That brings you really closely together. So there's all these team bonding things you can do. I generally think matches, hard training, and a good social is the three best things you can do to bond the team.
And Geach, these guys are all incredibly fit. These are the best of the best of the best, from the home nation. So these are the elite of the elite almost. But you are still allowed, of course, every calorie is counted, all that kind of stuff, and they're weighed in and have their fat tested with calipers, horrible experience. But there is still room, actually, to go to the pub, sit together and, have a couple of pints of charisma, let your inhibitions, dilute a little bit and get to know each other. There's still room for that, isn't there, even now?
Yeah, there is. And, I think on previous tours, back in '97, that people talk about, you see the Jim Telfer scrummaging session with the forwards, because we'd been poor at the scrummaging, and that was as hard and as brutal a session as you'll ever get. And that actually was one of the helpful changing points in the tour going in. And yes, at night, when you talk about it over a drink and you relax a bit, the thing is you also get to know a little bit about players, and You know, Sam's been captain twice as well, like Martin Johnson, that getting to know players and some of their background, their families or whatever, and what motivates them, almost what they think about, what's important to them, comes over at just a relaxed chat over a couple of beers. And it isn't, you know, beer after beer. It's a couple of beers at the right time, but actually you're socialising, and what you're doing is you're having a good, meaningful conversation, so you're knowing something and somebody else just that little bit better.
Yeah, and I might have my chronology wrong here, but I love the 97 tour. It's my favourite ever Lions tour that I've watched, and I think I remember the scrummage session you're talking about because it was on the DVD, and I think it might have been Jason Leonard, of course, legend of legends, who had struggled against, was it Western Province or Gary Pagel in the scrum?
Gary Pagel, yes.
And the week after, Jason is effectively leading a scrum session and saying, right, this is what happened to me, this is what you don't do, this is how we attack back, and actually what the sort of the hiding he took, and all props have taken him, I took more than him, he's taken a hiding and then he's straight back in to give him, that's team bonding, isn't it, in a way? Absolutely.
And out of that, the conversation we were having is the respect you get for South Africa or your opponents, you know, in New Zealand, Australia, wherever it is, when you're when you're playing, you respect how good they are, and you know how good you have to be come the test match. And when we got into that test match environment, Jason went out of his way to make sure Paul Wallace and Tom Smith had everything they needed. He could play both sides of the scrum, and he was so helpful, and he was on the bench in that first test as well. And one of the things that had been identified is we had to be lower. Now, we weren't necessarily going to beat them in the test series up front, but what we had to do is have parity, because we knew if we could stay in a game, get parity at the set piece, we could play somewhere else and actually get an edge in a game somewhere else. And if we were in the game with 20 minutes to go, we genuinely believed that we would keep our game together better. And that was so important, that parity. And actually, Matt Dawson's try, that is the difference in the first test, came off a fantastic scrum. When you look at that scrum,
shoulder,
from that, and yet they'd been shunted back in the very first scrum because they got the height wrong. But by then, they knew that getting in those positions was so important for something else to happen. And that was a front row's try by a scrum half.
And any tries tomorrow will be going to be celebrated by 16,500 fans. It doesn't matter where they're from, I'm sure they'll celebrate whoever scores because they're glad to be back in sport. But as a player, imagining playing and watching games in empty stadia, what difference is it going to make having the fans back in there?
Sure, we've had some games in Europe where there's been fans, but the majority of the boys who are playing tomorrow haven't experienced that still. So I saw 10,000 people in Twickenham, which was amazing. I was actually taken back with how much noise, and it was against two French teams, they were neutrals. So 10,000 neutrals in Twickenham was brilliant. So 16,500 will be predominantly all Lions fans. In Murrayfield is going to be awesome. And the boys, like, you know, when you go out for your warm-up, you get a vibe. So you run out for the warm-up, and obviously every warm-up's been exactly the same for the last 12 months. They go out, it's quiet, just their own team creating the energy. But now they'll go out for the warm-up, and suddenly there'll just be people cheering them. And it lifts you, you know. And I remember going out for a warm-up in the second test in 2013. I started welling up with emotion because the noise was so good for the warm-up alone. So I imagine the boys that go out for the warm-up tomorrow will be taken back with the warm-up, just having people there. Then they come out for kick-off, be even better, you know. So I'm really excited for them that they can finally play in front of some passionate fans again, which would be awesome.
But you start warming up in front of a big crowd, you know, you don't overdo it in the warm-up. I've always said that, Warby. Take it easy in the warm-up and the warm-down. Think of the effort you save over a 15-year career.
Very true,
you know, it's overrated,
very true,
mate.
very true.
Thanks, now, if you want to keep in touch with the Vodafone ambassadors during the Lions tour, stay on the app. They've been given a Vodafone. If it's an actual phone, it's a phone. Imagine all the lads doing selfies and videos and bit of content. Hopefully all of it's appropriate. Whatever it is, behind the scenes, at ground level, be really, really good fun. So keep an eye on your app. That'll pop up on there. Let's have a look at the poll. Let's have a look for who you guys are voting as the greatest Scottish Lion of all time. Where are we? So far, streaking ahead with 41% is the Lord Gavin Hastings, the 7th best semi-pro golfer in Scotland. Good on him. We'll let you know how that goes. A few more for Finlay Calder, please. I mean, Finlay Calder's a massive hero in my house. If my dad sees this, he's not going to be happy with that, Geach. Gavin Hastings, now, am I right in thinking he's on about 8 rounds of golf per 7-day week at the moment, Geach? Is that how he's living?
Yes, I think everything else works around how many holes you can get in.
He said he'd slip. I saw him the other day, and he said he'd slip to a handicap of 2. Would you slip into that? He's let himself go. You know, he's enjoying the après a little bit too much. Right, let's have a look at the squad that Warren Gunton has picked for tomorrow's Vodafone Lions 1888 Cup. Here it is. Geach, well, there's the starting 15. Geach, any sort of areas of the field or combinations that stick out to you there particularly? Yeah,
the one that interested me was the back three, with Van der Merwe and Josh Adams as 2 new boys starting in a Lions jersey first time, and Liam Williams in between them. Liam, to me, you know, is fantastic fullback. I mean, so good under the high ball, and actually that combination of those 2 having a player to work off, or will give him space, or will give him the opportunity for a counter attack, but also has an understanding of how to take the pressure and the confidence that's needed in the back three. I'm really interested to see how those 2 go, and how he, I think, tries to bring them into the game. And it's that balance of experience with 2 excited new boys.
And as a selector yourself, former Lions selector yourself, selection's so important, as Doddie said, and as everyone in the loop sort of knows. But actually, when you think about South Africa, how they play, it's pretty likely they're going to come pretty direct with a lot of box kicking from Faf de Klerk. So you ideally want a back three, or specifically a fullback who's very strong under the high ball. But as a selector, how much weight do you put on how they play, instead of saying, well, this is how we play and you can deal with us? But actually, at some point, you've got to acknowledge that they're quite good at what they do, right? Yeah,
and you acknowledge the conditions. I mean, what we've not got to forget is there's 2 games at altitude. Now, that puts 15, 20 metres on a kick. So suddenly your kicking game and what you do and how you do it is in an area that's 20 metres longer and wider in what you can do. So it puts a lot of pressure on the back three under that. But it also is a great advantage, because if an extra 20 metres, you can actually come back at it. And Rob Kearney in 2009 in particular was really good at bringing the ball back with the extra space that was actually there. So you've got to look at the conditions and how it brings the game, and appreciate South Africans players know that really well. And then you're looking at your game that you want to put out there, and where you might pick the opportunities up from their possession and their tactical approach. So you've got to take both sides in. But Gats tomorrow will be about the Lions' shape and what the Lions want to do. And the same, Steve Tandy, with defence, is the positions they need to get in quickly. And Japan will play quickly. So the great thing he'll be able to see is how quickly the Lions are into the next place. Because if you're in there early, then you're actually making a more dominant hit in the contact area. And all those things, irrespective of Japan playing slightly different rugby, are all pluses for what the Lions coaches will want to see and want to have in place.
Yeah, absolutely. Wolby, what's exciting you about that team?
Do you know, it's like I was thinking, it's like a penalty shootout in football. So if you had a penalty shootout in football, you'd always choose to go first because you want to put pressure on someone else. So for these guys now, like, I think to get picked on a Lions tour might be form. Some of them have been picked on a bit of past experience, and they're believed to be big game players who can turn up. But say, let's be honest, Tyke Furlong is everyone's probably tight head. 99.9% of people think Tyke Furlong will play tight head. But if he has 2 stinkers before the first test in a row, he's probably not going to start the first test. So they're all on a level playing field. So my penalty shootout analogy, I mean, these boys now, it's almost their shirt to lose. They're playing on a Saturday, so from a time-wise, the coaches want to align the team on the Saturday as quickly as they can.
They'll be thinking about that already, and they'll be thinking, well, I
think maybe 50% of that team will be like, they would have thought, right, this is, because I saw that back line, I thought most of that back line, maybe given a couple of players, could be the test back line, I think. But then, so it's their shirt, if they play now and they're brilliant tomorrow, it suddenly becomes their shirt to lose, and everyone else is chasing them. But say people are looking at Bundy Aki. He only started 1 game in the Six Nations for Ireland. So I was picking my team when I was imagining it, didn't have Bundy Aki in it. And then the first name that was announced, Bundy Aki, on the Lions tour, I remember thinking, Well, yeah, obviously. Like, Bundyaki is a great player. Just because I haven't picked him doesn't mean Gatland's going to overlook him. Seeing the shape of him in training, he looks enormous. He's got great handling skills, brilliant at the breakdown. Suddenly, he's quite an obvious pick. So, like Bundyaki and Robbie Henshaw, who you said, Geach, rightly, you know, they came through the system at Connacht together, got a good combination at Ireland. Well, I just think with Dan Bigger, the 4 number 10, Conor Murray, experienced 9, Duan van der Merwe, most tries in the Six Nations, Josh Adams, Liam Williams, and a freaky athlete. He's a banker pick, Duan van der Merwe, for the tour. People were surprised by that. I'm like, no, he's been brilliant. Yeah. He's been brilliant. Josh Adams and Liam Williams probably are 2 best aerial and most physical back threes, along with Anthony Watson. I'm thinking, that's a good back line, so it's going to be hard, but yeah, I think you can start to see already combinations they want to see working for the future tour.
And I think, you know, just following up, Sam, it's that chemistry and understanding as well. Under pressure, first time out, here players who can react to each other because they know each other and they know their movements. Yeah. Now, it's a bigger context of alliance context, but actually it's important, you know, and that, you know, the Conor Murray Dan Bigger half-back partnership means Gats will want a bit of control in the game, and he's got, you know, 7, 8 players who've starting for the first time, and he needs that control. And he's done the same on the bench. He's got a very experienced bench. So if he needs to actually try and put a little bit of tactical logic back into the game for 10 or 15 minutes or whatever, he's got the ability on the bench to actually just adjust things. So you're getting the chemistry, you're getting the partnerships, and you're getting the new blood all coming in and all being pulled together, which is so important.
I think you're exactly right. So, like, you can mix it up a bit, but say Keto wins at hooker, Alan Wynne at second row, line-out thrower, line-out caller, work together. Yeah. Dan Bigger, Conor Murray won the 17 tour together. The centres have played together. Josh Adams, Liam Williams have played together. So you can mix it up cutely, but still the core decision-makers and the spine of your team ideally need some chemistry and know each other, which they do in that setup.
Yeah, really interesting. You can watch the game at 3 o'clock tomorrow on Channel 4. Be there, where else would you be? Now, it's been 24 years since Geach led the Lions to that epic series victory in South Africa, and a big part of that tour, not just the DVD, but actually on the field, and a big part of it was a hugely charismatic, abrasive second row called Doddie Weir. Now, in 2017, the great Doddie Weir was diagnosed with motor neurone disease, and the way he's reacted, well, it's inspired many, many, many people, but it hasn't surprised any people that knew him. An epic bloke, and he's very excited about the tour, I can tell you that. I caught up with him a couple of days ago.
Doddie, first of all, hello and how are you? How are you doing?
Thanks, I'm very well. Lovely to speak to you. Lovely to see you look so well. In a lot of ways, yeah, doing quite well. Never for 1 minute I have to say I thought I would be here at this time speaking to your good self. Because when I got M&D, I wasn't sure how long one would live. So enjoying being here, enjoying life, and certainly looking forward to the upcoming Lions tour.
Well, let's talk about your jersey first. Could you not have got a size bigger, mate? I'm just asking.
I thought I was doing quite well to get into the spirit of things and get a 2XL. Now I feel I'm joining your club. I've been fat and happy.
Exactly. At least you're tall, mate. At least you're tall, fat and happy, you know. How much are you looking forward to seeing the boys going out there and taking on the world champs?
I think I'm very excited. I think the whole of rugby is looking forward to it as well. It's going to be very difficult because, as you mentioned, the world champs and South Africa rugby players only get a chance once every 12 years to play the Lions, so it's going to be pretty special for them. Being a player is very special on the tour, but being a supporter is equally special. So it's a shame that supporters are not going, but equally, we're all getting into the spirit. And not only that, there's a game in Motherfield at the end of June, which will be very exciting to see the boys play on home soil.
Are you going to go and watch that? You're able to go to the game?
Well, yes, I think I'm working at that, Flats. The reason being is that the Lions very kindly have chosen my charity, my New Study Foundation, to be one of their charitable partners this year. So with that, it gives me a couple of perks to go to the game.
There's a trek taking place, isn't there? A 30-mile trek in support of My Name's Doddie Foundation. Tell us a little bit about that, because actually it sounds like quite a good crack to me. Not like one of these 7 marathons in 7 days jobs.
Yeah, that sounds quite hard work, that.
Yeah.
7 marathons in 7 days. Yeah, the one other Kenny Logan, great friend and great help with the foundation, has put together a trek from Melrose, my old stomping ground, to Murrayfield on the day before the 1880 Vodafone Cup. And with that, it'll be good fun. There's a lot of characters, I believe, turning up. I'll be there to see the team off, and obviously be there in Edinburgh to see them arrive and have a couple of pints, which is very important for my calorie intake.
In 97, you were part of the Epic Tour. You guys succeeded in winning the series where so many others have failed. Why is it so hard to win a Lions series in South Africa in particular?
I think wherever you go, the teams that the Lions are playing are pretty good teams. South Africa, especially World Cup winners, I think 2 years before we played them, 2 years prior to where we are now. Again, winners, very good side. But obviously, you got to have a look at the concept of the Lions, that you're putting together 30, 40 players who have not played together at all. They've had really no warm-up matches. They're thrown into the deep end and expected to play. You know yourself, the culture, so a team rugby, it takes quite a while to maybe gel with your next door neighbour. On the 97 Lions, the management got the selection correct.
Yeah.
Except you were not there. Right?
Yeah, exactly. I was 3 years old. I wasn't.
This is Quinnell on the charge. Scott Quinnell almost there. And the drive on. The try has been given. The Lions have got it, and the forwards have worked so hard for it. Doddie Weir.
Did you love it as much as it looked like you loved it?
Well, I did. I love going out about meeting people. And certainly after the game, because I never for 1 minute thought I would be on that tour. So to share the same pitch with the likes of Martin Johnson, Jason Leonard, Ian Nevins, Scott Quinnell, Richard Hill, to name but a few, was quite a great honour for me. So I enjoyed not only on the field, but it was off the field, because in that time we were still allowed to be quite sociable. I think that's how the management got it spot on, because they allowed us to have a drink now and again. I think that gelled us.
There's always a lot of chat around how many Scottish players are going to be picked or how few are going to be picked. And this season they're at 8. And I want to ask you if you think that 8 is actually too many.
No, definitely not, your big blowback. It's probably not enough from Scotland this year, because they performed better. They're far better than England did. So with that, they should have a higher percentage of players in the team. But 2 on the coaching staff as well, which I think will be quite special.
Your mate Gregor Townsend, Lions attack coach. We kind of know what he's going to bring in attack. He's an innovative coach. He plays a great style of rugby and all that. I'm interested in what he's like as a bloke. What sort of bloke is Gregor Townsend?
Great bloke, great boy to know. When he played, it was quite difficult to understand what he was doing. I think he allows the players of the day to have that free run. And with that, it's going to be quite nice to see how they play.
Doddie, thanks, mate. Enjoy the game. Thanks for coming on. It's been Lions Live with Vodafone. Enjoy the Vodafone Cup. It'll be a great crack. Just the idea of you sinking a couple of cold ones with Jason Leonard up there at Murrayfield with a few fans knocking about for Lions game. Absolutely class, mate. And here's to a great tour in South Africa. Cheers, Doddie. Thanks, mate.
Thank you very much. Take care, everybody.
What a bloke. And if you want to find out more about the Trek, go to Doddie's Just Giving page and search Trek for Doddie and have a look. Give him a £5 or £8 million or £1,000 or £6, whatever you can spare. Give him whatever you can. It's a wonderful cause. Doddie Weir, what a bloke. Now, yes, I want to know what you think of him as a bloke, but I think I kind of know that. But what people sort of forget is that Doddie was actually an epic rugby player, wasn't he? Before he was a great bloke.
He was outstanding. Tall, but, not heavy, which meant he could get up quickly. Good handler. And in fact, before the Lions tour in '97, before he went on it, I'm pretty sure he was Five Nations Scotland player of the Five Nations. So, he was very instrumental in the way Scotland, the Scottish forwards were playing, and he'd a good rapport with Jim Telfer. Jim coached him at Melrose and coached him with Scotland, and then he was on that Lions tour, and Jim really put everything rugby-wise in it, and it just brought everything out. It made him an outstanding all-round rugby player.
Because he's known now for being an amazing bloke. When the DVD came out in '97, we all realised he was an epic bloke and great company. But before that, as a kid, I watched him and thought, this is one of the best second rows around. Great player. Warby, when Doddie's diagnosis in 2017, motor neurone disease, it's the sort of thing that we all aggressively hope never happens to us or anyone we know. And of course, you never know how you're going to react when that sort of thing comes. But you'll have been in contact with Doddie a lot over the last 3 or 4 years since his diagnosis. What do you make of how that bloke has reacted to that diagnosis? Because it's kind of unimaginable, isn't it?
What an absolute champion of a bloke. Like, everyone responds to a critical illness or serious illness in their own way. But he's defied the odds already. Like, he's been amazing now. And I just think the way he puts himself out in public, and I'm sure he does realise, but there's going to be people out there who are probably suffering. It could be cancer, it might be motor neuron, it might be something else, but they just see his bravery and the way he's willing to put himself forward and knowing to help others and future generations. I think that'll help so many thousands of people who he probably doesn't even realise. He would have touched so many people already. So he was obviously a champion on the pitch, but what an immense guy off it as well.
And I think, when you talk to him or when you've been with him, he doesn't let you feel sorry for him.
No.
He doesn't, he moves it on. And you're right, Sam, he's thinking about the other people who might have MND, who don't have his profile or the money that's being raised. He wants to have things in place, research and answers funded so that somebody else down the line can actually recover from it. And that's, to be thinking like that all the time just actually shows the quality of the person.
I saw him recently, and somebody we talked about sympathy, and we're just sitting privately, not on a mic or on telly or anything like that, and he said every minute someone's giving me sympathy is a minute we're not making progress, we're not getting anywhere, or we're not enjoying ourselves, the two most important things left. I thought, he's got it bang right. So get onto the Just Giving page, get onto Trek for Doddie, have a look at it, donate whatever you can, find out about it, just epic cause, epic bloke. Finally, if you think you know everything about that 1997 tour, the epic tour to South Africa, you don't. There's loads you don't know. Only Geach knows everything about it. You can find out all about it. There's a new podcast. Go to your podcast app. Alistair Eakins got a wicked new podcast. It's called Inside the Tour, The Lions of 97, powered by Vodafone. Have a look at that. It's a fantastic thing. Ali is just about the best in the business, and all sorts of legends, Lions legends, current, former, are on it, telling you all sorts of stuff, what you didn't know before. Now, we're almost done, but let's have a look how the poll went. Let's have a look who was voted the greatest Scottish Lion of all time. It was Telfer, Calder, Hastings, Tom Smith. Who's won it? Gavin Hastings has won it. Gavin Hastings won it. I don't want to think that's just because there's a lot of golf fans watching. But it might be. It might be. Also, he's a great bloke. Are you happy with that, Warbs? Are you happy that Finlay Calder hasn't won it?
I'm thinking, don't get me wrong, all legendary players. But I thought Finlay Calder might have had a few more votes given the fact that he was a tour-winning captain as well, So maybe some people are forgetting that,
Yeah, of course they are. Are you all right with Gavin Hastings? I mean, obviously, really, Geach, he's second best, but...
Yeah, my big mate is Jim.
Right.
So,
Jim,
get it away from the players. There's three players in a coat, but...
We don't, Sam, we're not the sort of guys that we don't just say what Geach wants to hear because we're with him, but we agree that the fact that Jim Telford didn't win that is a disgrace, an absolute disgrace. Gavin Hastings was a lot of things, great goal, great man, epic play, but he didn't give the Everest speech, all right? He didn't give... No, he's won it, and I say he's won it. He's won nothing at all, except more of your votes than anyone else. Now that is it for Lions Live, created by Vodafone for this week. Really hope you've enjoyed it. You can check out all the exclusive content on the app. Get geared up for the Vodafone Lions 1888 Cup tomorrow at Murrayfield. You can create your own digital lion, which basically you make yourself into a lion, make yourself look leaner in my case, taller and shorter in others. Make yourself basically look more attractive, pretend you're a lion, which you're not. And I hope you might become one day, but you almost definitely won't. Time to get your head around that, unless you're young and aspiring, and go for it. You can do whatever you want, but you do need the genetics, okay? Let's have a look at Sam. You can have a photo with lions, past and present. You'll see what I mean when you wiggle around on the app. They even say stuff. They got lines they say to you. It's like you're best friends with them. It really is. And with Stuart Hogg, that's even when you know him really well, that's about as intimate as it gets. You can pick your starting team for tomorrow's game using the 15 selector. I mean, it's already been picked, but pretend it hasn't and enjoy yourself. And take a look behind the scenes at Murrayfield. You can access 360 Lions moments. That's not 360 moments. It's these moments with this cool little portal. You'll see what I mean if you fiddle about on the app. The portal comes up and you can actually, it's the Vodafone icon. You can actually walk through it and you are then pitch side. So someone has got a camera pitch side. All the guys running out. You hear little snippets. You're right in there as the lads are warming up in the tunnel, around the changing rooms. What strap-on are they wearing? Who's limping? Who's not? Who's chewing gum? Who's spitting on the floor and not wrapping it in tissue paper and putting it in the bin properly? All that sort of stuff. All the nitty-gritty. You get in the changing rooms and all sorts. It's going to be fantastic. So from me, from Sam Warburton, and from Sir Ian McGeechan, Mr. Lions, thanks so much for watching. See you next time.